everybody. It is Everyday Shenanigans. Thanks for joining me. Happy Tuesday to all of you. I'm going to bring you information that's a little bit late to my network. I don't keep up with everything that goes on, but when I see something in the queue that strikes my fancy, and I think I want to discuss it with the chat, I bring forth the said information. This content is posted to my community board if you need verification for the information. TMZ is the source. Thank you for joining me.
I started noticing something was wrong with me. Immediately, I started losing mobility in my legs, and I couldn't make it to the bathroom. I was running headfirst into walls because I just couldn't control myself. And I lost issues with my bowels. Like, I started just going whenever, wherever. And so when I went to the hospital and stuff, and when they found out and told me about it, just within like 2 weeks, not even, I couldn't walk anymore from being like bedridden. And so that I still can't walk. I'm still trying to gain muscle in my legs to be able to stand, because I still need help standing. And with that, I've had to take medicines, and some of the medicines caused me to go blind in my left eye. So I no longer have vision there, and I got a disease from AIDS in my eyes. So it's been a real big struggle, but I'm doing the best I can. I'm trying to fight it. Going to my doctor's appointments like I'm supposed to, doing therapy. But it has changed my life a lot, and my mom's. Most importantly, get checked. Get checked. Even if you think you don't have it, you might have it. Like I wasn't very knowledgeable in my health, and I was just running free, running with the wind, and I never felt sick. That was one of the big things. Everyone's like, you didn't feel any symptoms? You never went to the doctor? I'm like, no. And then, I lived in New York, and when there were storms and stuff, and if I did get really sick, I just assumed I had like a cold from the snow. And I learned real quick. You feel something, go check it. Well, when I had to reach out to my exes, they didn't even tell me that I needed to, but I just felt it was necessary. And I don't have that many exes, believe it or not, so it wasn't very hard for me to let them know. They were very understanding, and they more felt bad for me than anything because they're actually okay. Honestly, when I even had the courage to tell them my mental state at the time, I kind of wasn't caring much anymore because I thought I was going to die. And it made it a little easier for me to just think, well, I will not have to be here for the backlash, which is horrible to think, but it did make it a little easier for me to tell them. But telling them, if anything, I've gotten more of the, oh my gosh, well, how are you? Are you okay? Do you need anything? It was more of that reaction than what I thought I was going to get. I was thinking, oh, Lord, they're going to be mad at me. They're going to yell and be like, oh, what about me? What if, and I got the total opposite reactions. So it worked out. I knew in the back of my mind that I would have to tell people anyways, because if I even want to have any romantic relationship, they have to know. And I just was like, you know what? I'm just going to tell everybody. And at the same time, I was also having thoughts of, well, if I don't make it, I want other people to know why. Like, this still happens, It's not just something that was in the 80s. It's still a thing. And here I was running around thinking I was fine and dandy. I did get tested, believe it or not, but I didn't know that I needed to specifically ask for HIV or AIDS tests. I thought an STD check was checking for all of that, but I was very wrong.
Okay. Thank you for joining me. I'll just leave the screen up for a minute. Hold on a minute. That's some very strange information. Why I say strange is that At some point, when you're getting an STD check, hello everybody in the chat, they will ask you specifically, the technician that's asking you, the nurse practitioner, whomever, if you're getting an STD check, they'll ask you if you would like to get a check for syphilis, gonorrhea, and HIV. They'll ask you. Because when they ask you all the questions of who you've been with, do you use drugs, intravenous drugs, how many partners you've had, that usually comes into the conversation. Would you like to get an HIV check? Because there's something they'll ask you. And you'll either say yes or you'll say no. How many people has she been with? Total. She's been linked to Mr. Cannon, Nick Cannon, Chris Brown, as most of you know. It's in most headlines and in most videos in the YouTube queue. Has she contacted those people? Because you hear her saying, I was running around free. I did get checked, but didn't get checked for HIV. So one would say that she obviously was possibly going in to get STD checks, because you don't normally get an STD check for no reason. You go in because you have symptoms down there. And that was going to be the question I was going to ask, but she kind of answered it for me. So possibly she's had STDs during her time of running around being free. That's why I said they'll ask you, would you like to get an HIV check? Why would they not ask you that? So let's just say she's had some venereal diseases as well. Because as I said, you don't normally go get an STD check if you don't feel anything's wrong. And in my mind, I'm thinking at first, before she even mentioned that about the STD check, if you're running free, would I think that you would be the type of person that would go get an STD check? Let's think about it now. Because many people may not even want to know that they've got it. Okay? Nobody wants to know that they have HIV or AIDS. So she believes she's had it for about 8 or 10 years. I'm going to bring you that said commentary. But let's go ahead and get into the article, and then we'll chop up the rest of the information. Thank you all for joining me. TMZ is the source of this information. Okay. IG model Gina 2. AIDS has taken away my mobility, left me blind in one eye. This was uploaded July 30th. IG model Gina 2 says for years she thought she was testing for HIV when she get STD checks, but that wasn't the case, and a recent breakdown of her body led to her finding out she has AIDS. Gina has gone viral on social media telling her story and urging the importance of young people getting tested. She tells us the symptoms have been horrible. She's lost mobility, control of her bowels, and has gone blind in her left eye. Gina says the diagnosis has changed her life as well as, hold on one second, jumped off there. This TMZ article is horrible. I don't know why this article doesn't want to read. I'll just start from here. She says she's still not sure when she contracted HIV, but has called her sexual partners to let them know of her status. Gina says everyone she's called has been very supportive, checking in on her and making sure she's doing okay. She says so far no one else has tested positive. One thing Gina wants to clear up: blogs have speculated she's been intimate with Chris Brown and Nick Cannon in the past, something Gina says is just not true. There's a GoFundMe to help her move closer to her family. Going forward, Gina hopes she can help others avoid a terrifying experience like hers. Okay, that's just a brief information. So the rumors about her being with Chris Brown, Nick Cannon, she says it's not true. Why would people say that? Now, she's lost mobility, control of her bowels, and has gone blind in her left eye. Let's hear more commentary from this young lady. Thank you all so much for joining me.
Story time. Everyone keeps asking how I got AIDS, I didn't know I had AIDS. I just got sick one day, started fainting, fevers, then I got really weak, and I was going to the doctors, and no one knew what was wrong.
Sorry about that. It's buffering.
They just kept assuming cancer, cervical cancer, lesions, and then I had some doctors saying, "No, you're perfectly fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with you." But eventually, a doctor was like, "Did you know you have AIDS?" And I'm like, "No," because I wasn't getting checked like I should have, as much as I was supposed to. So I didn't know, and I lost a lot of weight because I was in the hospital. I don't know what happened. And from losing all that weight, I lost mobility in my legs, so I can't walk or stand right now. But I do my therapy every day, and I do take my pills every day like I'm supposed to. I take 5 pills a day. No, I don't know who gave it to me. So, I just found out recently I didn't have it. They said if I didn't show up when I did, I would have died because my blood count was so low. I was needing blood bags. They was taking bone samples. They were doing a lot because I was so weak. Still so weak. And I think I have wasting syndrome. I'm not anorexic on purpose. But yeah, I hope that answered a bunch of you guys' questions.
Okay. Well, so far I haven't heard of her saying she slept around a lot of people. Maybe she mentioned that in another commentary. But this is taking a toll on her with her mom because on her mother because her mother is helping her. But as I said in this TMZ article, she does say she's not slept with Chris Brown nor Nick Cannon. She said that is not true, and there is a GoFundMe set up to help her move closer to her family. And she's sharing her story to help other young people. As I said, I don't know of anyone that goes and gets STD checks regularly, except for people who are in the porn industry. And I'm just going to keep it real. Those are the only people that I've heard of that got STD checks regularly because they had to have a card to show that they've gotten an STD and HIV check in order to continue making porn videos. That is the only time I've ever heard of anyone just getting STD checks, because 9 times out of 10, you know your body, and usually you'll have some type of symptom at some point, in women anyway, of a discharge or foul odor or something, and you would know to go get checked. You know what you're seeing down in your undergarments isn't normal, so you know to go get checked. So when she mentions these STD checks, it sounds strange to me because I just never heard of anyone going to get an STD check. Like I said, the only people I know that got them were women who were in the industry, in the porn industry. And I'm not saying that she was in that. I'm just saying those are the only people I know that would go and get a check. I'm going to see if I can bring more information of commentary from this young lady. I'd like to know why people are saying she's with these other people, because she's saying she has not. So they're just rumors. How many people has she slept with total? How many celebrities has she slept with? How many celebrities has she contacted? She says she has contacted her past lovers. No one has came up positive, but I can't see any of them wanting to tell people that they, yes, are positive. Now, you may get somebody in the end that may come out and say, yes, I'm positive, and I also slept with her. 10 years, 18 years is a long time for a physician to assume that's how long she's had it. So it just seems like, wow, that's a long time to not have any symptoms. But she says she thought at one time or two, whatever, or more, she's gotten sick. I guess not like really ill. Maybe she thought she had a cold living in New York City, and she just shrugged it off. And that's the whole point. You get a little cough, sore throat. If it's not anything major to make you go to the hospital, you would assume that, especially living in a city that's very cold during the winter months. But I wonder if she also had symptoms when it wasn't cold, such as spring, summertime. I don't know. Okay. Let's see what else I can find here. This is asking, who is Gina Toe? Instagram influencer linked to hip hop stars reveal AIDS diagnosis. Instagram model Gina Toe has been sharing her health journey in recent days after getting her AIDS diagnosis. This was modified August 4th. Two posted a TikTok video just 2 days ago where she shared with her followers that she was sick and was almost on the verge of dying before doctors recognized what was wrong with her. While she said she did not know who might have given her the virus, she revealed that medical practitioners told her that she has been living with it for approximately 8 to 10 years. The social media figure, who has been linked to several A-list hip-hop artists like Chris Brown, Nick Cannon, Dave East, and Chief Keef, stated she refuses to expose those who might be at risk. Explaining the many possible ways in which she might have contracted AIDS, Gina Toe revealed in her most recent video that she had been assaulted a few times while she was homeless and living in New York. She further said, "I have had a couple free tattoos, so it could have been a dirty needle. I don't know. Do I know any one of those people? No. Did I say anything when those things happened? No, because I was naive and I was stupid and I was young." In her health updates, the influencer also shared that she was unaware of the diagnosis as she had not been tested in the past 10 years. From her videos, it seems like that influencer caught the virus when she was between the ages of 17 and 19. Here is a picture of her. I'll put that screen down so you all can see this picture. She's in a wheelchair. She's wheelchair bound. Very weak, cannot stand up on her own. As you see, she has many tattoos. She also suspects she could have possibly caught HIV/AIDS through tattooing. She's not sure. How old is Gina Toe? She's 27 years old. She's amassed over 401,000 followers on TikTok and nearly 20,000 followers on Instagram. The social media personality is best known for posting fashion and modeling content on social media. She has uploaded a few song covers online as well, including her rendition of Alina Baraz's Electric and a few other songs by Adele. Adding to her resume, the influencer had modeled for the Cover magazine in 2015. So this may be perhaps how she became to know some famous people. Instagram. Looks almost like a doll to Gina. Okay. The influencer uploads regularly on her social media platforms. At the time of writing this article, her most recent post had her flaunting her pink hair. The influencer has also been sharing videos about her AIDS diagnosis with her followers. In recent weeks, Toe revealed that she has lost the ability to walk and has since been wheelchair bound. She also suffered a massive weight loss after the virus attacked her body and recalled weighing only 65 pounds at one point. This is a picture on her Instagram page where she's hospitalized. I got so weak in the first days of knowing I had AIDS, I could barely focus and strain to talk. She's blind in one eye due to the diagnosis. As the influencer continues to share her journey online, followers have flooded her comment section showing support. That's the sad information I have so far. This is by sportskita.com. Just a very, very sad situation. These are pictures of her. So as you can see, she looks very frail in these pictures. She was still keeping herself up, keeping herself together. Bring pictures of her so people can see what she looks like. Those are pictures of her. I'll just keep that on the screen so people can see what she looks like. IG model Gina Toe. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name correctly. I'm trying to bring you all information pertaining to her. going to go back in my back into the screen and see if I can find this other content. Okay, hold on one second. Thank you all so much for joining me. Please take my poll pertaining to monkeypox if you think it is God's wrath or not. Thank you so very kindly. I guess I don't have it up here, the information. I thought I had this information up here, but I don't. One second.
My chest so that I feel better. The truth about why I've been in the hospital. Unfortunately, a girl contracted AIDS. And a lot of you are asking if I have any muscles in my legs and how strong am I right now. Most of my strength is in my arms. You can see I can kind of do this a little bit with my legs, but still need to get them straightened out. Stop bringing out my toes. Get the picture. Hi TikTok, I'm Gina too.
So that's a TikTok video. So one would wonder, how is she homeless? Very strange information.
Why I've been in the hospital. Unfortunately, a girl contracted AIDS. A lot of you are asking if I have any muscles in my.
Why was she homeless? Well, she has AIDS, so she's going to be frail. Thank you all for joining me. If you'd like to donate to the channel, $sign BigAngie, 129 Cash App. Thank you all for tuning in. This is an IG model. What I'd like to know is, she's denying that she's had any contact with Mr. Cannon, Nick Cannon, and Chris Brown. But I just read your commentary where she says she's not going to divulge anyone's name. So then that means she possibly may be lying that she's had contact with these people that people are gossiping about and rumoring her to have been with. I read your content from TMZ where she says no, she has not been with those two men. But when I further read on commentary, she says she's not going to name anybody as to, protect their privacy. So then that means possibly she could have been with them, but she just doesn't want to say that she's been with them. And that is her right, because they also have right to privacy, those men. Has she contacted those two men specifically? I do not know. But she says she has contacted her last lovers who she's had sex with, and they have not tested positive for HIV. But that's the number one question. Have they tested positive since she's told them? Because one, they don't have to tell her that they tested positive, and they don't have to tell the public. And if anyone's asking or inquiring, hey, I know you dated her, you messed around with her, blah, blah, blah. Have you tested positive? No one has to tell anyone their business about who they slept with, not slept with, if they tested positive, if they've got a venereal disease, if they got a venereal disease, if they think they got anything from her or passed anything to her. So let's chop it up. 8 or 10 years, she's not even 30 years old, so that means she's contracted this disease at a late age. She specified she was homeless. How long was she homeless? She also says she was assaulted. How many times was she assaulted? And what were the circumstances in her being assaulted? Was she assaulted as a homeless person or assaulted in the company of the men that she was with? Was it more than one person at the same time? She also mentions that she has been tattooed. Possibly she could have gotten it from dirty needles. I would hope that wherever she went, they use appropriate protocol with the needles, because it doesn't look like the tattoos she has. They don't look like what I would consider street tattoos. And it's not to say that there aren't guys and girls out here that can do tattoos, not well, but I would assume she went to a salon and got them done. I don't know. I'm just speculating at this point. She says basically she has not had a lot of lovers, boyfriends, or whatever, which that's her business, how many men she's been with. But she's let you know that she didn't get checked for AIDS, HIV, just STD checks. But as I said earlier in this commentary, most women don't get checked for STDs unless they think they have something. So was she going to the doctor when she thought she had something? So one's going to ask, how many times has she had STD checks? How many times did something come back positive? What did she have? Did she tell her lover she caught something or thought she caught something from them? Or was she the carrier? See, you never know. How many men has she slept with total? Has she told all men she is ridden with AIDS? How does she come in the company of these celebrities that people are linking her to? That she's denying the two, Cannon and Chris Brown. So has she slept with other celebrity men? Did she sleep with them unprotected? And when you think of how she could have came in contact, I don't know. All this content I'm reading just says she's an IG model. She was on a cover of a magazine, the Cover magazine, 2015. So I don't know how she would have came in company of Nick Cannon, Chris Brown, or any other celebrity. Would she be considered a groupie, hanging out in places where they would be fraternized? I don't know. And it's not to say anything negative about her. I'm just trying to figure out why on everyone's YouTube channel, damn near they're linking her to these famous people who she's denying having any sexual relations with. But as I said, she's also said she will not name any names. So could it be she's not telling the truth about sleeping with these two men as to not throw their names out there? Because naturally, the day she starts naming names of people she slept with, that will cause a firestorm. And then people will start saying, oh, it must have been you, or it must have been you. And then God forbid, somebody else has slept with Chris Brown or Nick Cannon and is HIV positive or has AIDS. Then boom, they'll start saying they gave it to them. It'll just be a ripple effect of gossip and accusations. And most people don't show symptoms of diseases, STDs, or HIV. But when you get full-blown AIDS, you're going to have some signs. And that's usually when the body has decided to break itself down, the organs break down. Okay, somebody says it happened when she was homeless. Okay, so could it be she was raped in shelters or sleeping outside, and that's how she contracted HIV/AIDS? Well, were those persons? Have they been apprehended for sexual assault before? Or did she not know her attackers? See, there's 1,000 questions you can ask. Why was she homeless? That's what I'd like to know. Why is a 19-year-old sleeping on the streets? Where is she exactly from? Why would a young person be homeless? You have to ask these questions. Why? Since we're on the topic of AIDS, if you feel that you are sickly, becoming sick, you don't know what's wrong with you, please go get checked, get your blood drawn to see what ailments you may have, because we have life-saving medicines for HIV/AIDS. There are many people living with HIV and AIDS right now here in the United States and abroad, and you don't have to suffer alone. I'm going to bring you some information pertaining to AIDS symptoms, so you all can get a gist of what to look for. Hold on one second.
Hey, it's me, your skin. Help me maintain my moisture balance.
Sorry about that commercial. Thank you all so much for joining me. Got to get their commercials in.
today's video, we're going to be covering an in-depth coverage of skin conditions that are associated with HIV. This video is going to include lots of clinical photographs because I think this is the best way to learn about this topic. In the video, we're going to start off by covering a definition of HIV. This is going to be a brief outline. We'll then cover why recognition of skin disease is important in HIV, and then we'll move on in the third section of the video to cover the main focus, which is outlining some of the common and important types of skin disease affecting patients with HIV or AIDS. This is not going to be an exhaustive coverage, but I've included lots of helpful links in the description box of this video, which contain further details. So if you're interested in this and wish to do some further reading, please check those out. So first of all, what is HIV? Well, in a nutshell, HIV stands for Human Immunodeficiency Virus. HIV is a retrovirus infection, and that causes an acquired immunodeficiency of the host via reduction in the number of CD4 T cells. This means that the body finds it much more difficult to fight off infections. And you'll see later on in this video why this is important, because this can manifest in skin disease. Without appropriate treatment, a person with HIV can eventually progress to the advanced stage of infection, which is called acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, which is commonly referred to by its abbreviation AIDS. So who gets skin disease in HIV, and why is this an important topic to be aware of? So the first thing to mention is that skin conditions are very common in HIV, and around 90% of patients who are infected by HIV will develop some sort of skin condition. And there's an enormous range of skin conditions associated with HIV, and these generally increase in incidence with advancing HIV disease and declining immune function. Importantly, skin conditions can be some of the first signs of HIV infection. So if you're a doctor or healthcare professional and you suspect HIV based on a skin condition of your patient, it will be important to consent and test them for HIV, because this could allow it to be detected earlier and ultimately for treatment to be commenced earlier, which will hopefully lead to better outcomes for the patient. So let's move on to the main part of this video now, which is what types of skin disease are associated with HIV. Broadly, it's good to take a systematic approach when thinking about the different types of skin disease. So we can start off by breaking it down into infectious causes on the one hand and non-infectious causes on the other. When we're thinking about infectious causes, we can further subdivide this down into fungal, bacterial, viral, and parasitic. So let's start off by first of all looking at some of the fungal issues that could be associated with HIV infection. So there's a range of fungal infections that occur at different degrees of immunocompromise in HIV. These include tinea, which is commonly known as ringworm, and that can affect any area of the body, and you can see a photo on screen here. A patient may also have onychomycosis, which is a fungal infection of the nails, and they can also have candidal infections, commonly known as thrush infections. These can affect the mouth, or if in more severe cases, can go and spread down to the esophagus.
Wow, that's horrible.
So these conditions or fungal infections may also be associated with other conditions, but in HIV, they may typically be more aggressive, they may not respond to typical treatment, and also they can be atypical in nature. So if you have a patient who's come in, for example, with recurrent candida that doesn't seem to be responding to your typical forms of treatment, maybe in the back of the mind think about, could this patient have HIV and do they need testing for it? So a patient may also have pityrosporum folliculitis. That causes an acne-like inflammation around the hair follicle. They may also have something called pityriasis versicolor, and that causes hyper or hypopigmented lesions over the skin, as you can see here. Something called seborrheic dermatitis is also associated with HIV, and it's important to be aware of this. So the next infectious skin issue associated with HIV are bacterial infections. These can include things such as Staph aureus, which leads to folliculitis, impetigo, or abscesses. They can also develop mycobacterial infections or syphilis. Ulcers increase HIV transmission. There's also viral associations. These include recurrent or chronic herpes zoster, hyperkeratotic and proliferative viral warts. Importantly, something called oral hairy leukoplakia, and you can see that on screen here. The person may also have persistent ulcerated herpes simplex, molluscum contagiosum, as you can see on screen here, cytomegalovirus infection, and also the patient can be affected by things like Norwegian scabies.
Now that looks similar to the monkeypox.
Folliculitis.
That
So
one
now we've
picture.
covered some of the infectious skin associations. Let's move on and look at the non-infectious subgroup of skin issues associated with HIV, which include cancerous skin lesions. So first of all, the most important one or common one that you may think of is something called Caposi Sarcoma. So prior to widespread treatment with HAART, the AIDS-defining Caposi Sarcoma was the most prevalent malignancy in the HIV population. And that's caused usually by infection with human herpes virus 8. A Caposi sarcoma typically presents with a painless red-purple lesion, and it can affect any part of the body, and it's strongly associated with a declining CD4 count. There's also a twofold increase of developing squamous cell cancer and basal cell cancers in people with HIV compared to the general population. Cutaneous T and B cell lymphomas are also more prevalent with HIV infection, and also things like aggressive melanomas. Finally, people with HIV can develop something called lipodystrophy, as you can see on screen here. So I hope you found the video useful and informative. If you did, please leave a comment in the comment section beneath this video. And as always, if you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already for new videos which are released every Wednesday and every Sunday. There's lots more useful links in the description box of this video, so please do check those out if you've got time. And until next time, bye.
Well, that's a Dr. Donovan. Feel free to go over to his channel to subscribe. Very informative information. I thought it was only appropriate to show content pertaining to what the body looks like when it starts to break down from HIV/AIDS. So if you see any of these symptoms on your persons, please consult with a doctor immediately, because a lot of times we just overlook things just because we don't want to go to the doctor. But you want to always go to the doctor when you start seeing any changes with your skin, your health, your breathing, anything on your tongue, lesions, sores, as you say, fungal toenails. That's a horrible thing. When I saw that, I thought, oh my goodness, because a lot of people get fungus on their toenails, especially here in the South when we wear our feet out a lot. But you want to take care of yourself as not to prolong the illness to where it can exacerbate and you can't get the appropriate help. You don't want to go into the final stages or pass it along. Hello, Lisa. Thank you all so much for joining me. This is just, oh, what a day. What a day. There's always new information out here. And it's sad to see a woman 27 years old at the prime of living, 27, to have had the virus at least 8 or 10 years. So that means she had the virus, as they said, possibly 19 years of age. That's a long time to be infected with something and not have any idea that you are sick. Could have had treatment. She could have had mass treatment, because our technology is abundance as far as diseases and medicines. So she could have been on some medicine. But I don't know what her living situation was at the time. And she didn't have any symptoms to her knowledge. So she didn't care to go see about a cold or sniffles or whatever. Because as she said, she was living in New York City. I'm very curious to know what her background is. What her background is as far as who raised her. How many brothers and sisters does she have? What was her living condition to end up homeless? To find a child homeless on the street at 19 years of age, this is a pivotal time for young people to be living their best lives and being out in the world. She wasn't enjoying herself. How can you enjoy yourself living on the street, being homeless? So I'd like to know how she became homeless, because that is a time when young people get into mischief and trouble because they're trying to survive. May not be actually looking for trouble, but you're out in the elements. You're out in the street with strange people. You're out there with other people who possibly don't mean you any good. They're out there for various reasons. They're on drugs, alcoholism, also probably infected with diseases, because naturally they're not going to the doctor to get health checks. So you can get very ill out there in the street because you're hanging around people, swapping clothes, this and that. You're having relations with people. You know, we don't even know how many people she may have had relations with while she was homeless. Besides the sexual assaults, did she date anybody while she was homeless? Was she dating another homeless person? Did they have an infection or disease or diseases? See, you don't know because she said she doesn't know where she got it from. If it was from the assaults, relationships, and or getting the tattoos. Oh, Lord, this is just so terrible. And that's why it's dangerous to be out here in the street homeless. Because as I said, you're out in the element, you're coming across filth and nastiness because you're not being able to bathe, you're not being able to keep your hair clean, your body clean, your fingernails, toenails clean, clipped. You could catch anything. You don't even have to be having sex. You could just be coming in contact with people, such as this monkeypox we have right now. Imagine someone out there in the street homeless. This is a very good reason. You're going to have to be leery because imagine being out there hanging around all kind of people, sharing drinks, cups, touching them, kissing them, and you're homeless where people are already not clean, unkempt. Homelessness will definitely be a breeding ground for all these diseases that are popping up, such as COVID, polio, monkeypox, and also HIV or any other infectious disease. Because these people are around each other a lot, and they're sleeping in homeless camps and sleeping in shelters, close proximity to another human being. And the workers, they need to be leery as well, working with homeless people. Because, they're going to be talking to them windedly to try to get them help and aid. This is just bad. Bad business. I'm not going to keep you all long because I have more content I want to bring you later today. But that's just the information on this IG model. I saw the information in the queue and I thought, wow, this is wicked. Young lady. So young, 27. I didn't hear that she had any children. Gina is her name. Gina 2. Thank God she doesn't have any children. But it's bad business to be this young and have HIV. We'll show some pictures of her before I check out of here. Sorry about that. Gina 2, 27, now has full-blown AIDS. This is just crazy. Crimes, I think she's far gone at this point. 8 to 10 years with no medicine, that's a long time. And she can't walk. She's lost sight in her eye. But who's to say God is favorable? He could favor her. She gets the right medicines, get on a strenuous regime with the medicine. She could possibly bounce back. Who's to say? I'm not going to be one to say that she couldn't. All I can say is how she looked during these last videos. She's very frail. She can't walk. She's lost eyesight in the left eye. And see, that's just a sign of the body breaking down. And that's what happens when you get full-blown AIDS. The body starts to break down and the organs start to break down. So we have to pray that it hasn't affected her internal organs, such as, liver, heart, kidneys. I don't know if she has any skin rashes yet or anything, but it's just sad. She's had it this long. She's had it a long time. And possibly she had symptoms all along, but she ignored them, thinking it was just, something mild as a cough or minor cold. This is very sad. Yes, we have to hope that she's getting treatment. She has a GoFundMe page. So hopefully she can get adequate treatment, adequate medicine, because there is adequate medicine out there. I don't know if she's here stateside or abroad. And as I said, this is just a very strange story because to hear that she was homeless for a while, I don't know how long she was homeless. Those things matter. How long was she homeless? How did she become homeless? Who sexually assaulted her? How many times? How many sexual partners has she had? Has she told all her partners? She said she has told some past partners. People are going to wonder how many. That's between she and those. But anybody famous, how many famous partners has she slept with unprotected? Do they possibly have HIV? And they haven't told anyone. Because a lot of people do know that they are HIV positive. And the reason why a lot of people know they're HIV positive, because eventually they do become sick. And they go to the doctor and they draw blood. And they go ahead and do an AIDS. Maybe they automatically just check for AIDS anyway when you start getting ill. And they find out. But the person doesn't tell the public. They don't tell their lover. They don't tell their wife, their girlfriends, boyfriends. They just live with it. They just live with it and also pass it to others. Now, you've heard of some people who have HIV, but their spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend didn't have it, which is very strange because I believe that was the case with Magic Johnson. He had HIV, but Cookie never had it, which some would wonder how is that possible when they were in a relationship for years. And he obviously carried it from younghood into the relationship with her. So how is it that he would have it and she not have it? It's very strange. I don't know. All I can say, God works in mysterious ways. But she's saying the people she's notified do not have HIV AIDS. But as I said, who's going to tell it? I don't think anybody would want to tell that they have HIV. And they definitely wouldn't want to tell they think they got it from her because they possibly wouldn't know who they got it from either. Because when you're sleeping around with different people, are you going to remember them, remember their names to say, well, I know what they look like, but I can't remember their name, to go find them and say, hey, I've got this, you need to go get checked. And she even said back then she was free, living free. She got STD checks, but she didn't ask them to check specifically for HIV. What are you talking about? Yes, he does. What are you talking about, Pandora Box? What are you talking about? I don't know what you're speaking of. That's my information for today. Please check out my content on monkeypox from yesterday and Saturday. I've brought some content pertaining to monkeypox. Please be safe out here because we don't know all of the things that are circulating out here with the monkeypox, the polio, COVID. I don't know if this monkeypox can be spread through touching items. They said they did. The content I brought yesterday said if anyone's infected and you're touching their items, you can get it. So now we have to ask ourselves if indeed, I don't even know. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm a little disoriented this morning. If a person is infected, you can't go around them and you can't touch their items. So common sense would tell you if they were to go to work and go to other places, don't know that they're sick. Obviously, you could catch it from items that the infected person has touched. So I do see that this will be a problem for many of us shopping and going to work, extracurricular activities, just being out into the world, touching things, door handles, the gas pumps, shopping. Because if a person is walking around and they don't have any lesions and they're asymptomatic, then naturally they're touching things in the store and you're touching things behind them and surfaces. This is so crazy. Very, very crazy. And the content I brought you yesterday states that if a person is infected, you're not to be touching their items. Their items can and will be infected. So this is dangerous. It's very disturbing, and it's just, I can say I'm pissed off because I'm sad. It saddens me that we're in a world where now we're just going to have to wear masks and gloves and you're not going to be able to touch anything. And another thing about that touching surfaces issue, if indeed the items are infected at the person's house, and naturally if they go out in the street, they're going to infect stuff that they touch. What about when they heal and they've touched 1,001 things in their house? Could they get it again? Because what will be the timeline on the surfaces that they touched? Okay? You're in the house, you have monkeypox, you've touched your lamp, you've touched this, your door handles, refrigerator doors, you're touching things in your refrigerator. You heal up, but what about the surfaces of everything that you've touched? See, that's a problem right there. Because this is new, so naturally they have to do their studies pertaining to people who have it, get back with the people after they've healed, so they can learn more about, the timeline, the healing process. We're just trading into the unknown right now. It's very, very unknown. And this is very baffling, this information about this monkeypox. It's all sickening to me. Because I just find it strange that this disease happened with homosexual men at first. And a lot of people want to glaze over that anybody can get it. Well, nobody really cares. Because you're going to be afraid of getting it, especially if you can get it from touching surfaces. So you can't touch surfaces. You can't touch a person. You can't kiss a person. You can't have sex with a person. And naturally, there are going to be men who sleep with women and they're bisexual. So that's going to be an issue. This is all so jacked up. Just jacked up. And some of you don't want to think that God has anything to do with it. Who's to say that he doesn't? Maybe he isn't happy with us. Maybe he isn't favoring us right now. Because you have to admit, polio jumping on the back of monkeypox right now is very strange. As I brought you content, it's in the wastewaters in New York, Orange County, and Rockland. Where is it coming from? Where did it come from? And why is this monkeypox? Why did it show up in homosexual men? You have to ask that. How could you not ask? It doesn't matter how it came to be from an animal to a human. A human had access to an animal, got contaminated. Its point being, it could have been transmitted to anyone, man, woman, or child, heterosexual. Why is this disease prevalent in homosexual men and men with many partners? Is what has been stated. This is very sickening. Thank you, Spread Love. Thank you all so much. I'm not going to hold you all. Prayers for those with monkeypox. Prayers for this young lady with AIDS. Prayers for anyone who's had contact with her, sex with her, that they get checked, get medicine if indeed they are also HIV positive or have AIDS. Prayers for those who may get polio, because right now it is in New York State. So if you live in those general areas of Rockland and Orange County, New York, you may want to go get a vaccination. Thank you, Spread Love. Thank you so much. Thank you. I don't know what's going on with the world. I don't know why we're having all these diseases. As I said, we're very, a lot of us are not very clean human beings, very dirty. And it doesn't help when people are not clean. They don't keep up proper hygiene. And then they go out here in the street and they talk to people and breathe on people and touch people and have sex with people. And that is why we have all these crazy things happening. That's why children are always sick and catching stuff, because children touch stuff a lot. See, children are curious. So toddlers, they touch things, they pick up stuff, they put stuff in their mouth. And that's why it's easy for them to get sick, because they're always touching stuff. They don't have the fortitude to know, I shouldn't be touching this. I need to keep my hands clean. I need to keep my hands to myself. They're children. So people are going to need to be very careful who have children, to keep your children clean as possible, because children love to touch things. And this is going to be very bad with this monkeypox for people who have children, because if you get it, how are you going to take care of your child? See, I ask all those questions because they're relevant. They're very relevant. Will this young lady have other people come out and say that they are also HIV positive? We will see who else comes out. We will see if Mr. Cannon or Mr. Chris has spoken. I have not heard that they've spoken or denied having sexual relations with this woman. She's denying being with Nick Cannon and Chris Brown. For the record, TMZ is the source. But she also goes on to state she will not reveal anyone that she's had sexual relations with, as to preserve their identity and their privacy. Now, some of you may think she should tell who she's been with, but the only way she could tell is if perhaps she knows she got it from them, because we don't know where she got it from, the AIDS. And she says she doesn't know. So it wouldn't be right for her to go out and start naming people that's her discretion to go talk to them personally and say, hey, I've got this virus. You may want to go get checked. Lord, what a mess. Well, we will see if anybody else comes out and says they have the virus, if they think they got it from her or pass it to her. Then one would have to ask, is she the carrier of AIDS? Because there is a carrier with the disease. Thank you all so much for joining me. If you'd like to donate to this great channel, Everyday Shenanigans, $, Big Angie, 129 Cash App. I will be on later with a Crime Vault video, a very heinous crime I'm going to bring to you of a very, very vile doctor coming from the Pacific Northwest. Please stay tuned for that content. God bless all of you. Stay safe. Happy Tuesday. This is Everyday Shenanigans. Thank you.